Good morning to you. It's a theatrical Thursday with so much happening on the national front and on the international front. Locally, we have challenges. And when we look at our world, we say, well, what is good about this morning? Well, it is good because of God, because of who He is, because we look outside of ourselves to the one who is the author and the finisher of our faith. We continue right along this morning in our talking through the story of the epistle of Hebrews. It's written by a Hebrew to Hebrews that they no longer remain Hebrews. And what a challenge for these Christian Hebrew believers, because they were standing in danger of defecting. Things had becoming quite difficult. When we think of in our own land, the challenges, land challenges, expropriation without compensation, no compensation, medical aid schemes under threat, with the NHI, our schooling situation because of the new bill, food prices skyrocketing, and fuel doing likewise. And we look at all of that and we see great shifts, great phase shifts, changes, great changes. Well, I've entitled this block this morning in Hebrews chapter 7, verse 11 to 28. I've entitled it Changing Challenges. Changing Challenges. It's not just that change catches us on the back foot, but the rate at which things are changing is what really scrambles our minds. But what facilitates change? What facilitates change and what helps us move in sync with it or move up against it? The point in the section is that any change from the old way to the new carries challenges. And these believers had embraced the new way, the way which is Christ. But things had been getting quite difficult and hard and hot. And so they find themselves between a rock and a hard place. And the writer warns them of the danger of defecting to that which is comfortable and maybe even familiar, but to that which is old and out of date and obsolete. And that's a challenge for all of us. I think of a time over a period of 8 months where for my wife and I, we went through 3 major geographical shifts as we moved 3 times across 8 months, moved home. Now, one would almost say that we were nomadic at that point because so many shifts in such a short period of time, soos hulle sê in Afrikaans, dit vat aan jou. It takes on you, it reaches to the marrow, it reaches to your innards. And so this short exhortation, as 13:22 says of Hebrews, 303 verses for the writer is a short exhortation. For us as 21st century believers of the way, followers of the way, we would say, boy, oh boy, that's a long letter. Well, the significance of this section of the text is what I think can really help us to know what to look for in times of high shift and high change. Just this morning, our news reports have to do with a parcel of land in the Eastern Cape that has been invaded by 1,000, at least 1,000 people, 700 to 1,000 people, and all that brings to mind and the challenge it puts on the table. It is happening. Now, some are saying, oh, no, 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 that's not really what you think it is. Well, you can check that out for yourself. If you look at that and you look at where we are with a rejection of the budget because of the 2% tax hike and all of the consternation that that brings into our lives. Well, what's the positive here? How do we hold on to that which is real and true and sure? Because for the most part, we have not been taught how to live with what we call tropophilia. Now, that's our big word. Tropophilia. Tropophilia is the ability to live with uncertainty. And we've not been trained that way because we love certainties. We are given to right answers and answers. We love the correct answer. We're not given to high questioning and to a tinge of suspicion in terms of what we hold to. No curiosity, thus, no creativity. And so we are branded as the most boring people group or faith-based entity on the planet. Maybe there's some truth to that, because Christians somehow are viewed as people who did have brain damage the day they trusted Christ. They fell on their brains. They fell on their heads. And when you interact with them, you get these avatars. You get these representations of people who have learned a scripted message and they recite it to you. They don't really exist. They become avatars of an ideology. Well, the situation with this people group was they were degenerating to a point of being captivated by ideology instead of a live relationship with the superordinate Son of God, the superordinate one, in the first 4 verses of chapter 1. And then from verse 5 to chapter 10, verse number 18, he's the superordinate walk because of who he is and what he has done. His worth and his work come into play, which makes him not just a super son, but he's one who has provided a super walk, a superordinate walk. And then from 10:19 to chapter 13, he's the superordinate way. And in this block this morning from 11 to 19, there are 2 things that are mentioned that tell us that the old way is insufficient. The new replaces the old because the sufficiency of the old can't cut it. It has become inefficient. We talk about paradigms and paradigms shifting and paradigm shifts and how that affects us. And paradigm shifts are huge. Paradigm bends and we bend it to answer more and more questions, but more and more it is not able to do that. In our own country, we experienced a major paradigm shift, a paradigmatic one from the apartheid era to democracy. And what a shift that was. We were of all people most fortunate we did not walk through a bloody revolution in that shift. But the danger is that some want to go back to the old way. They want to opt for something else. Some want to go back to the old way and just turn the present system on its head, where we are in a reverse racist kind of situation. And there's every indication that that tends to be the tendency on the horizon. The new order replaces the old. Verse 11 of chapter 7 says, now if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood, For under it the people received the law. What further need would there have been for another priest to arise after the order of Melchizedek? This is a name you hear constantly in this section of the text. The cryptic king, Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, the king of Salem. Rather than one named after the order of Aaron, one after the order of Melchizedek, rather than one named after the order of Aaron. Because you see, this figure that appears and then disappears off of the scene of the scriptures or the horizon of the scriptures is the one who foreshadows Christ. And in a sense, he's the one who follows Christ. Not Christ follows him, but Christ stands in line after the order of Melchizedek. No father, no mother. King of peace, king of righteousness. For when there is a change in the priesthood, there is necessarily a change in the law as well. Because it is not Aaronic in its order, it is Melchizedekian or Melchizedekan in terms of its order. So when a priesthood changes, the law pertaining to that order changes. For the one of whom these things are spoken belonged to another tribe, from which no one has ever served at the altar. The Melchizedekan priest, has not served ever at the altar. The Aaronic priests have. The tribe of Levi has. Verse 14, for it is evident that our Lord was descended from Judah. And in connection with that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. No priestly person from Judah. Verse 15, this becomes more evident when another priest arises in the likeness of Melchizedek, who has become a priest not on the basis of a legal requirement concerning bodily descent, but by the power of an indestructible life. No mother, no father. In other words, he doesn't follow a lineage, a bloodline, but he's brought on the scene to show that the one who comes after him in terms of his wake, in terms of his order, is none other than Jesus. For it is witnessed of him, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. And so we're going to continue tomorrow in what the new priest brings in. The new person is a better priest. But in verse 18 and 19, the new priest brings in something that is real and of superior worth. Let me leave you with two questions this morning. Why is change such a challenge? These Christian Hebrews were so used to this Levitical system, the Levitical priesthood. Now they have embraced Jesus, Messiah. He is King. But trouble has rolled in on their life, and now they want to defect. Has some changes swept across your life that you are not able to process? And the shift for you has been so huge that you've lost your composure. You've lost your mental marbles, as it were, because you can't make headway. The change is too huge. It's too big. The shift is too great. Why is change such a challenge? Think about that. And then secondly, what struggles are you facing in moving from the old to the new? From what you had to what you have? From one geographical location to another? From one spiritual locality to another? And think of all the uncertainty that brings into your life and how your cage is rattled. One poet has said it so beautiful. Rattle my cage, Lord, but rattle it gently. We, we all pray for the rattling of our cages, that it would be gentle. But most often, our bones rattle in sync with the cage that rattles. Are you in a tight place this morning where you can't see the forest for the trees and life is so dull and dim that you whimper and you get up with a sigh on your heart? You've just lost your song. The songwriter says, when the trouble you're facing is replacing your hope with despair, and you are here and you're losing your song in the night. Well, we can look to the one who is the superordinate Son, who walks with us through those shifting shadows and the shifting phases of our lives. He is there, he was there, he hasn't deserted us. I trust that you would have a good day, an encouraging day as you face the changes that are on your horizon. Join us tomorrow morning, same time, same place, for the next exciting episode. God bless you and goodbye.